this moment.
Have Diablo 2 Resurrected's character designs been censored?
You're too late.
Well, one of Diablo 2's original producers believes it has. But if so, why? Or perhaps more importantly, for who?
I awaken in terror. There's no one left to stand against them. Fear me.
After releasing the Crucial Changes video on Diablo 2 Resurrected's NPCs and characters, I've been getting a lot of feedback about the overall design of characters and censorship concerns, and it seems these comments from the community are not unfounded. At least, according to Mark Kern himself, producer on the original Diablo 2, an ex-Blizzard employee, now wholly untethered by PR constraints to speak his mind about Resurrected. Kern, also known as Grums on Twitter, launched a flurry of tweets in April which echoed the community's concerns, in which he said, Diablo 2 Resurrected is censored, which is ridiculous. Diablo 2 was all about being adult, edgy, dark, and yes, even a little bit sexualized. It's a raw fantasy setting, gothic and extreme. To change it is to make a different game. Stop buying AAA endless remakes. Go indie. The Amazon was always revealing. In fact, we fought hard to keep it that way as part of them, as there was some push to change it even back then. Sucks to see something we fought for get erased in a soulless corporate remaster. The deliberate, hard-won creative decision to have an adult, dark fantasy content has had its sharp corners rounded off and made safe for who exactly? This is a complete erasure of the original intent of the creators. But in the end, that just makes room for real, dark, edgy fantasy games that AAA game makers will no longer make. I look forward to the indies that will take up the mantle. Just pass on Blizzard of today entirely. Just as a quick aside, do you know how big this guy's balls are for saying this? See, me, for making this video, if one disgruntled Blizzard employee sees it, they may take away my early access, I may get blacklisted, etc. This guy's whole career is predicated on big studios working for him. And in today's climate, saying, we fought to keep sex in the game, don't trust AAA studios, go indie because AAA is corrupt, is just, it's baller. So much respect for Mark Kern, whether you agree with him or not. It takes courage, or at least he's putting his money where his mouth is.
You want to buy from China? That's great. Buy from China. Buy toys from China.
China.
I'm going to open the censorship section of this video with credit, where credit is due. I actually like the new version of Andariel, although yes, she is slightly more covered with a shoulder pad and unnecessary loincloth for a succubi. I think this really does actually capture her essence well. And further to Blizzard's credit, community manager Pez Radar addresses fan concerns about questionable redesigns of characters after a post on Reddit gained community traction with a rework of the Amazon, in which he said, Hi all, the team has most definitely been seeing the feedback over the last day regarding some of the looks on the character models. There may be some changes in the future, so we appreciate all the feedback on this. In the end, the game is a lot of ways your game and not just ours, so we want to make sure we do it right, smiley face. And I do appreciate the sentiment if followed through with, like the Sonic the Hedgehog movie where the producers admitted their blunder, that was a bad Sonic, and ultimately fans indeed got the Sonic they deserved. But before we celebrate too early, let's scrutinize for a minute the original Vicarious characters' designs. First off, thanks to fans, we've had multiple attempts of much better faces to choose from that were more in line with the original art. Just ignore this necromancer, I swear there's better ones out there. And please, for the love of God, fix my beloved paladin. I miss John Witherspoon as much as the next man, but Blizzard shitting out this disheveled paladin, absolutely not allowed.
That's the beauty of it. I grab a dog, and I choke him, and I kick the shit out of him. And I all day long, I foot up a dog's ass. Just bang, bang, bang up his ass. That's my pleasure.
In regards to the censorship of characters, as Grum posed on Twitter, the question about censorship is who benefits from toning down the adult, dark fantasy content, which Grums also stated is a complete erasure of the original intent of the creators. And we see this evident in several characters. The Amazon, as previously mentioned by Grums, had her armor modified to be more modest with a leather skirt like legionary attachments. And an ongoing theme is all characters seem to be less busty, and she was aged heavily plus heavier than her original lithe figure. The Sorceress had a sly wardrobe modification with her more modest outfit departing from the underboob of D2's original and being a heavier build as well. Now, personally, I actually don't mind the characters being toned down and the demons being fully naked as they're more profane, but again, this is against the dev's core aesthetic. Now you may say, Tash, these modifications are clearly to appease the rating gods, but when asked about the succubus in Diablo 3, the then community lead Lilira stated, "No organization has ever demanded Blizzard Entertainment to make censored versions of these monsters in either of the 3 games. All 3 Diablo games have an M rating, which allows nudity and gore." Okay, so Blizzard have been shown to not be bound to a government body's censorship. Could this toned down wardrobe be to appease offended fans? Surely not the female audience. It would honestly be condescending to assume that women would be offended by nudity or not understand that Diablo deals with the profane. And let's be honest, cosplayers can take anything, including my sweet, innocent Tyrael, and turn him into some sexy cosplay rendition. Well, the only example I can count is the Fetish, who could offend. Originally, he looked more like an evil pygmy, mirroring the ones in the Mummy series. This was a small humanoid, and then he transitioned into a nearly holy demon look in Resurrected, though I can't see that actually offending anyone. I did then come to, in my research, a not so shocking revelation. Many of you had previously pointed out that Blizzard, in a somewhat contradictory fashion, were looking to appease Chinese censorship standards, which, I'll be honest, I should have predicted, especially after the Blitzchung incident where he was banned for speaking out against the Chinese government. Now, the assassin from D2, which I skipped over, also had a more toned down uniform with now unexposed legs and pants in their stead. Well, more baffling, she had a full race change. Now, I want to be clear, the assassin is not from the island of Shansai, which to my knowledge is the only part of the world of Sanctuary that features wholly Asian characters, where the wizard hails from, and so does Covetous Shen. Now, races by the time of Diablo 4 are much more malleable and not set by region, as we've seen in previous games, but Diablo 2 had each class represent its individual race, like the UN almost, if you want to think of it like that. So the fact that a Caucasian assassin with blue eyes had totally changed doesn't make sense, as she's not from the region, unless Blizzard had an ulterior motive or reason, but fan art shows, I would say, a much more faithful version that we should have gotten. The only reason I can come up with is that the original art was much more oriental in appearance, so I'm going to take a stab and say maybe originally she was meant to be Asian, but here's a question. If this is something to do with 2020, diversity, etc., even though the lineup of D2 is naturally extremely diverse and obviously not a real world, but anyway, recently a Dr. Seuss book was banned because of an Asian stereotype. Why would Blizzard choose to make the only martial arts performing female character in D2 Asian? I don't get it. Wouldn't that be classed as the most ancient and negative stereotype? Anyway, in conclusion, if Blizzard was honest and said, look, the assassin was changed for a new audience. Now, I wouldn't love that, but would prefer this more than the PR radio silence where they pretend nothing's happening and leave fans with awkward questions.
People think I don't like China. I love China. China. I deal with China. China. Big league. China. So don't tell me about China. I know China.